Hotepse Nuhena Senut ET Ren I Shakandugu Kemet. I hope you're doing well. Let me check the sound. Sounds beautiful. I love it. Now, what time is it in New York right now? 3 a.m. So I might expect people from other geographic location. I have a little bit of time right now, so I decided to give an opportunity for those who don't usually catch me when I'm live streaming. As the title says, free talk, questions and answers. Take advantage. You know how I get down. If there is no participation, then I call it a day. Well, some nice discussion yesterday with Netaneb talking about linguistics. He's actually studying to get his bachelor's in linguistics, and then who knows what he may do next. Was quite interesting. Some of the things you've heard might have went over your head, and linguistics is not my field, and I don't think you will claim me. I'm sorry. I don't think you will hear me claiming that it was my field. However, I did mention that when some people have some claims about correlation between different words, then we might as well consult the linguist. I mean, if somebody wants to say, well, Assalamu alaikum and Shalom aleichem are related or cognate, I don't have any problem with that. It's quite obvious. But when you hear people say, well, the glyph reference, Gardner reference D36 means Allah, it needs to be demonstrated. It's so good if it is claimed, but has it been, first of all, demonstrated? Second of all, has it been accepted by other scholars, other specialists? Unfortunately, and really, don't take offense at that, but America is the land of freestyle. America is the place where hip hop was birthed. And sometimes people did freestyle with scholarship as well. And we're very good at that. You know, us black folks were very good at doing linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics. And really, we should try to have some academic standards so that people don't laugh at us. I don't live my life wondering what do people think about us. But not it's important for us to not make a fool or to not make fools out of ourselves. You see? So yesterday during the live stream, it's the video before this one, so it's very easy to find well, we heard many different kind of claims that were made over years. And for about a good decade, we have some pseudos and some frauds who've been making all kinds of claims, while at the same time dismissing real scholars and disrespecting different people just because they did not agree with their hypothesis. And I expect that this will fade. The pseudos will still have their groupies, though you must have noticed that the groupies are less active now. Hey, it's my brother Ahati Ma'at. It's the first time, I think it's the first time that I see you live, right? Because I read your comments. How you doing? If you don't mind telling me where you are located, if you don't want to say the city, it's fine. But if you can tell me at least the state, if you are in America, then if it's another country, then feel free to let me know which one. See, that's what I like. The people who've been interacting with me, and then eventually I happen to come across them. Now, I hope that we did not communicate in writing before, and I just happened to forget it. But I have a feeling that it's the first time we get to interact via the as usual, I have shared the invite link. But those who want to get on the panel need to show their face. So if for whatever reason people they can just use the chat. So Ahatima Abro, yes, if I could hop on with you would be great. Well, you can if you're ready to show your face. The link is in the chat, so feel free. It would be lovely. It would be lovely as long as you're willing to show your face, you know. I mean, I always prefer um when people get on the panel. It's just straightforward. It takes less time to communicate, you know. So because the thing with the chat is I never know who is who. I never know if people are genuine. I never know if they are trolling. You have some people who act like they're interested and all that, but they're just looking for you to sleep up. But so it's just not genuine sometimes. But it is what it is. That's life. In life you will always have adversaries, you will always have opponents. We should not have that mentality that we are all black folks all in this together. No, some people have different ideologies, some people have different school of thoughts, so you will ultimately face adversity. It's a fact, and not just from black people or alone, from all different kind of people. That's the way it is. So the main thing is to try to remain cordial amongst ourselves, you see, because other group of people, other ethnic groups, they happen to disagree amongst each other, but they will not, beef with themselves, particularly not over small stuff. But the brother is actually here, so I'm going to put you on. I'm glad that you called in. In about 3 seconds, I want to put you on. Hotep Sense,
Peace, Hotep.
how you doing?
What's up, my brother?
Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Feel
Let
free
me
to speak, my brother.
just. Yeah, it's funny because I just heard of you recently, and I've been following my ops for 8 years now, and I'm real familiar with Saw Netter and the Lions Den and all that. And it's funny because I was checking out one of your videos, and you actually have my teacher. It looks like you were watching a debate he had with Zion Lex. So I was like, let me check out this brother and see what he's about. And what really caught my eye though was is that you're actually following my ox. And I haven't met besides my teacher Tahuti. Now he goes by Tahuti because that's how everybody knows him. But I knew him as Amenhotep Ra. And so besides me and him, I haven't met anyone else on the planet yet except for you that actually defends Ma'at with the writings of the scribes, that actually takes it back to the primary sources and doesn't budge from that. So I'm very familiar with Wujua, and I actually had a discussion with him about a
Oh, you
year ago.
you, you mean Ujau?
Excuse me, Ujawu. Yeah, I can
Yes.
never get his name correct. Ujawu.
Mhm.
So I actually had a discussion with him a year ago. It had to do with the Netaru, and see, I subscribe to that the Netaru are as physical as me as you because we have the Turin Papyrus as evidence. And in the Turin Papyrus, it's actually telling how many years the Netiru are ruling as Nesut bits. And there's no counterclaim evidence to show that they couldn't be physical too. You know what I mean? Plus, we're learning from a colonized mind. We're learning about our history now from a colonized mind. We have to understand that too. We're not even 10 years old. We're decades old. So that colonized mind will still pop out at times, right? So I can't think in my mind that Tahuti ruled for 7,000 years with the Torn Papyrus. Tahuti ruled for 7,000 years. I cannot think that Tahuti was not physical too if he's ruling as well. Uh, so when I watched you and you had your discussion with him, it's interesting because instead of saying, you know what, man, I don't know, because this is what happened with me and him. It's like
Yeah.
he couldn't admit to me that, you know what, man, I don't know if they were physical, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And if he would have just said that to me, we could just move on, man. But he has to keep telling me that there's something wrong with me, that I don't know what I'm talking about. And then they want to go, and I like what you do because then they want to go into using the Tomahawk, the white man. They like to go using the white man's linguistics, and they don't even know the etymology of what linguistics means. They don't even know it goes back to philology, and it just means the love of study. So it's like if you love studying, you could technically be a linguistic, but it doesn't mean you know Medu Neter. So it's like,
And I'm glad you said that because once again, I've heard what some other people have been trying to say, some fake linguists. You know, I'm not saying that people should not deal with linguistics or do linguistic research if they don't have a degree. My point is just don't fake the funk. You know, don't call yourself a linguist if you have not if you don't have the certification or qualification of a linguist. That's just my stance. And besides, we're talking about someone who has not produced any work that's peer reviewed. So that's a bit too easy. And regarding the Necheru, there are some things in life that we will never know. And the consensus really is that the Necheru are deities or gods. Now, some people were living human beings, and later on they were deified. Imhotep was kind of deified, but maybe that's up to debate. And I forgot the name, but I have it, and I think it's from the Oxford History of Ancient Egypt, where they talk about one or maybe two-person that were living human beings and that were later on deified. So who knows? Maybe some people that we know as nature were initially human beings. I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I think the majority of Necheru are what we consider to be gods or deities. Some people will be there forces of nature. But at the end of the day, once again, there are some things that we will never know in life, you know, because it's the Necheru, we don't know the dates. We don't really know the dates. And it's possible that we have some individuals that bear names of Necheru, but they might not necessarily have been actual deities. So when the time period is so remote, like if I was to ask people, what's the time period for Horus or Heru? What's the time period for Usir or Asir? What's the time period for Aset? I don't think anybody will be able to answer. So this kind of discussion, it doesn't matter too much if people are not on agreement because we don't necessarily have a way to come to a definite conclusion. But I would say that for the most part, people presume, people feel like indeed there were deities or gods as we understand it today. And
yeah,
Tehudi, I see that he's a regular participant on Killer Priest channel.
yeah, he was for
Oh, it's no longer now.
nah.
Something happened. They had a little fallout, little
I don't
disagreement.
know if something happened. It's just that when you don't accept this as being your life, um, it's like everything else. You're not gonna be consistent.
I'm sorry. Can you come again, please? When you don't what?
Let me uh, let me see if the mic's up.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, actually I can hear you quite clear. It's just I
Okay.
did not really get the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah, if I speak too fast, it's because
No, no,
I'm
it's
from
not
the
fast.
East Coast of
No, it's not.
America. But let
It's
me
not
know.
fast.
Let me know, and I'll slow
Yes,
down.
it's not fast. It's a nice space. I just didn't really catch the beginning, like you said when, and then I couldn't get it.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like Killer
Yeah,
Priest, like we grew up listening to him. So you know
yeah,
how when you grow up and you're removed from the person, your brain is automatically going to paint an image that's elevated more than the actual person is. So you deify him, like we're just talking about inside your mind. Um, so
yeah. That one step was heavy.
yeah, I don't know who's gonna listen to this, and I don't know if Killer Priest is gonna listen to this. they haven't had a fallout. He's just
Mm,
where he hasn't called him back
mm,
because with my Saba, he will not compromise what uh, our ancestors wrote. You know what I
mm,
mean? There's
mm.
no compromise, and I agree with that too. If we're ever going to get back to the state that, even if we're going to get back to an eighth of what they had. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Killer Pre-Show podcast, but like a lot of the brothers on there, they can't match up with Tahuti, man. And Tahuti is gonna go with the Medu Netter. We're serious, we're teaching, and this makes people what's the word? It makes them uncomfortable. So you can't get ratings in this matrix. You can't get ratings um, with somebody like that right now because if I'm uncomfortable, I'm not gonna watch anymore. Um, so basically, Killer Priest never called him back. And then, like when Tahuti first got on there, one of his co-hosts had problems with Tahuti and even debated him because he had so much problems with him. And
Yeah, the guy with the dreadlocks, right?
not him. He was
Oh, okay.
at the end. He was starting the Menkepera, who's supposed to follow Kemet. Um, it's jealousy, man. I don't know how to explain it. Like I can only explain it from my experience that I've been. It's not rock bottom. People call it rock bottom, but it's not rock bottom to me. I've been through experiences so much that you can't take anything away from me if I don't give it to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when I met Tahuti, I was perfect. I was done. I tried learning everything else. My life's not improving. I'm open now. Here's a Medu Netter. Here's Kemet. And man, it really it revolutionized my life. And now I teach other people to help change them. But if you believe you're okay in the matrix, in our enemy's construction, I could tell you anything, and if it doesn't materialize with money today to you, I'm a fool in your eyes. That's just how it is. That's why you hear brothers always talking about, oh, we have to have land, we have to have land, we have the white man owns the land, brother. No, get land. That's good. I'm not saying don't get land, but how the hell are we going to defend our land? And we can't defend our land if we're all divided. Divided meaning the Talmud uses the political word now. We never use that. You know that, but we need one banner to stand under. You're gonna have your Shaka clan tribe. I'll have a Hati's tribe. Amenhotep Ra will have his because that's how our ancestors lived. But they all followed Ma'at. That's it.
And
But,
it's important.
but you know today, brothers, that concept is like
And it's a good thing that you mentioned that. This is what I feel is lacking. Nobody's perfect. It's cliche, but nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes. And sometimes, we might get angry, we might say stuff we don't really mean, but we can try to uphold Ma'at. Because one thing I don't really like is that in this conscious community, we have some people who have only God can judge me mentality, and they feel like, okay, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, I'm into Kemet. So basically, they do whatever they want without any integrity, and it makes us look bad. It makes Kemetic people look as if they don't have any standards or moral. And the people who teach the Medunach, the people who teach the Kemetic culture, it's not a good look when they don't have any integrity. And we have people on tape being disingenuous, lying, claiming stuff they cannot prove, they cannot demonstrate. And to add insult to the injury, they will result to being condescending / disrespectful. And it's just really a shame. If you make a claim, you can demonstrate it. You know what I'm saying? Like Aliyah said, dust yourself up and try again. But don't disrespect the dude because and demonstrate. And I think it's a big shame. Like for example, like there's a guy who, you know, have been claiming to be a linguist for many years, and he made very strange claims that are not accepted or validated by specialists. And he went as far as saying Theophilo Benga doesn't have a degree in linguistics. And just yesterday, I pulled up the San Francisco State University, where he shows the different degrees of Theophilo Benga, and that includes um, studies in advanced studies in linguistics from Geneva University in Switzerland, and also studies of linguistics and philology from Sorbonne University in Paris, France. So it's kind of getting out of hands now. Who knows? Maybe this San Francisco State University was wrong, and it's up to whoever's willing to take that path to show and prove that and demonstrate that. But at the end of the day, like people say, it comes with the territory. We will have some people who are dishonest. We will have some people who are disingenuous, but it's just not necessary. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. I said that many times, but we have some people that are on some high horse and they want to act like they know it all. And when they are cornered, then they will come with some questioning and some questions, but they just don't want to, come to some sort of conclusion, even if it's a temporary conclusion. Okay, I have to look it up later. I have to check on that. But what I suspect is that those people are just so used to talk to their flocks or their groupies, so they don't have any challenge. They have yes men around. But besides all that, besides what the reasons might be, everybody can see that some people are just disingenuous, and they've been disingenuous for a very long time, and that's just a shame. They should not be seen as people who represent the culture. you know it's just a shame to me. But at the end of the day, we see that, and we have to keep it pushing. And we have our brother Anthony Harris in the place to be. you know
Oh
so
yeah,
brother,
he's good.
yeah, yeah.
Chris
And
Harris.
ha-
He's
have
one
you
of the people exposing the people you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's important. It's important. And one thing also is that, when now personally, I don't really use the word expose. Or during all those years, I never made a video mentioning someone and say expose. The only time I use expose, it was regarding me, because somebody was dissing me, some anonymous person. And so I put my name and I put expose, or maybe he was his, I forgot, but he was an anonymous dude. And sometimes when you disagree with people, or you show and prove that they were wrong about some topics, some people want to label you as like a troublemaker. But at the end of the day, we're having public discussion. If someone makes some statement publicly, but we'll have the right to address it. We'll have the right to agree or disagree. And a lot of people have been teaching stuff just out of religion or ideology, you see. So they have their camp and their group who all agree on that, and they feel like because they are so numerous with that belief, then it's all good. So it's been a few years. The internet is growing, and the live stream is something kind of recent. I mean, it kind of started with Google Hangouts, but now it is very, very, very common. And the narrative is a bit different now. People have to be a little bit more careful with what they are saying. But
It's forever
have you
now.
actually, yeah, have you started learning the Medu Nature?
Yeah, I've been learning for 8 years.
8 years. All right, you learn by yourself.
No. That's
Hmm.
another thing. When people tell me they're self-taught, especially in the meta netter, I'm like,
It's possible
what?
with the with
I
the with,
don't. I can't. It's a complicated language. I mean,
mm,
you know, it has many different meanings.
mm. And
I don't know. I just haven't met somebody that can like the way I learned and the way I teach is learn the culture first, and then when
mm,
you're looking at the words and you're looking at the glyphs, then the meaning comes out to you a lot easier. Um,
mm. So, may I ask you who you learned it with, or who you learned it from?
Tahuti, Amenhotep Ra, that's the
Mm.
man that taught me.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
Yeah,
All right, that's so good. Well,
and
I
he,
think the
matter of fact, he started me off with this book here, ancient Egyptian. You can't really see it on camera. Huh? Oh, there you go.
Oh, is it from a lady? Because I cannot see the author. Is it a
Yeah, I
lady?
wonder why the camera's doing that.
Yeah, it's
Well, anyways,
sometimes.
it's Miriam Leacham, 3 volume series, Ancient Egyptian Literature. William Kelly Simpson, The Literature of Ancient Egypt. Budge. I mean, everywhere
Mm.
surrounded with
Mm.
books and the
But
dictionaries.
Budge is outdated. Budge is outdated. Um, I think.
But I always ask people,
Mhm.
show me something that he made mistakes, but show me exactly what I'm speaking on. That's the mistake. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, I
So
understand.
let's say netter. People say netter doesn't mean God, and I'll tell them, show me where it says that doesn't mean God.
Mm. Well,
So
I don't know who says it doesn't mean God, but some people will say, okay, it means, force in nature. They will have,
right,
different
right.
wording, but, it kind of means the same thing. And, but really, James P. Allen, actually, I quoted it not long ago. He said that at the time of Budge, it was already, okay, let me see the exact wording. So I uploaded it like a few days ago, actually. So I'm going to share the screen. Please. All right. So make it larger. All right. So James P. Allen said that in his Middle Egyptian, page 464, he wrote that, well, I'm going to quote, as you have probably already discovered, the only books on Egyptian language or text that can be found in most bookstores are reprints of works by E.A. Wallis Budge, which were not reliable when they first appeared and are now hopefully outdated. Hopefully means like seriously or sadly. So he even not only says it's outdated, but even it was not even too reliable when it first came out. So personally, I would recommend people to get, for example, that Middle Egyptian by James P. Allen, or there's that book that might even be easier for total beginners. It's the one by B.M. Manley. Um,
Yeah.
there's one by exactly. That's the one. That's the
Right,
one.
but let me clarify because I know there's a lot of Budge haters, and one thing with Budge is Budge was one of the first, if not the first, to admit that the people of the Nile Valley were from sub-Sahara Africa. So that's one reason why I gravitate towards him because he's one of the first ones in a racist. It's in the late 1800s, a racist mindset. A racist, I mean a hatred, because racist actually means you love your race when you look it up. But and a hate when whites really they still hate us, but really hated us. He was one of the first to say that the ancient Egyptians were African. So that's one. So that's why he gets hate. That's one of the reasons. But with the outdated stuff, I like I said, show me a word like mess or show me a word or glyph, and when I look it up in Budge's dictionary, show me in James P. Allen's Middle Egyptian translation, or even in his pyramid textbook, show me the word that's outdated, and then we'll compare it. And if it's outdated, well, then I won't use it. But I have yet to find somebody to show me that. But I do admit, Budge does make mistakes because I found them. And when he makes a mistake, he puts a question mark around it. See, brothers don't do that today. Brothers, like you just said, have a hard time admitting they don't know. And Budge actually put in his dictionary a question mark on his mistakes that I found. So I have to admit, I actually respect that too. So,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
have
mean,
all
and
different kinds of dictionaries
yeah,
looking
that
at
that that,
to
that
focus
one
on
is,
Budge.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that one is very nice. I mean, Burge, it's not to fault him. Or it's not just uh hating on him. He was some early stage, and he did what he could at the time. Burge is still respected, and but that book here that you showed, because we have some original artifact, is very good. When I give classes, I usually show original artifact, because that's the best part. That's the most fun. So when you go to a museum, you are able to read directly rather than just having the hieroglyphic transcript, and it is well made. Then of course there's the other one that he wrote with Mark Collier,
Yeah,
um, and I mean the other ones. There will be. I don't know if I should use the term challenging, but if someone is by himself and has to go through those books, if he doesn't have some sort of big interest of passion, then the person might end up giving up or being discouraged. But that one you showed, I think it's actually one of the best to introduce the meta nature. I was very impressed
Yeah.
about it, and that's why I showed it many times during my live stream. He
Yeah,
did a
I
very
like how
good.
he uses Gardner's sign list, so you can look it up on Wikipedia, whatever. But
Hmm.
again, I don't recommend somebody studying by themselves. Me personally, I'm not saying you can't. I can't. I'm not
Hmm.
saying you can't be self-taught. But like you said, there's stuff in that book, in Bill Manley's book. It'll show like the belly. It'll say a cow's belly. When it's
Hmm.
much deeper than a cow's belly, it's meaning the woman's womb, because the woman relates to the cow with Het Haru and on and on and on. And you're not going to know that unless somebody like me or you is teaching the person. I won't know that if I'm self-teaching myself that. I'll think it's a cow belly. You know what I mean?
But
So,
there's some glyphs where uh, it might be people's personal interpretation because, for
mm,
example, the glyph for the son, some people will say it's a sieve, some people will say it's a placenta,
oh
and
yeah,
this glyph is reference AA something, and AA is the unclassified glyphs. But even the glyphs, like the sound the the H on the line,
hmm,
um, they say it's like it might be the one you were talking about, animal stomach, like probably seen from the top, but who knows? And as I go through the different hieroglyphic books or meta nature books, sometimes, of course, experts or PhDs will differ in opinion, not only on what the description of the glyph is, but also with certain translations. And that's totally fine because it's a very ancient language. And once again, there are some things that we will never know. But however, when we go to the text, we can still get some clear translation, and that's the most important. You see, that's the most important.
you know what's interesting about what you said was that the PhDs, the I call them the title people. See, once again, when we start putting that knowledge into our mind and taking it back to our culture, and then reading about our ancestors' culture, and then looking at that glyph again, oh, okay, that goes back to Sister Het Haru. That means the female's womb. They're not. You see what I mean? Whereas the Tamahu is just going to look at it and say, yeah, it's just a cow belly, or like this is crazy mysticism or mythology. I don't know what they're talking about here. And you see that too when you're reading in the books here. You'll see that they don't understand what they're reading, but you start to understand and get it because oh yeah, we weren't monogamous people. We had many mates, just like Osiris, and on and on and on. You see what I mean? So I really stress. I can't stress this enough. It's like we really have to learn the culture here if we want us to break free from this matrix. Because obviously, as you know, nothing else works, man. I mean, listen, if you want to be a Hebrew Israelite, if you want to be a Christian, you can hold on to it and join us. But I guarantee you're gonna. The truth is just so addicting. You can't hang on to it, man. And we can't advance in the state we're in now because you just see what we're doing online all day. We're just going back and forth. We're not building anything. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So we need more teachers like you. We need more soldiers, warriors. We need to get back to our warrior spirit. The warriors were teachers. That's another thing. I was just teaching a brother this that there was no separation of church and state in Kemet. Everything is connected. The spiritual first is connected with the material. This is a supreme understanding. It doesn't mean you're weak if you're spiritual. You know what I mean? If anything, you're a lot stronger. And so the Warriors had the same, as you know, the Warriors had a name as Utu. Utu is a pronunciation, Utu, which meant commander, but it also meant teacher and leader. So our leaders were teaching us. When you're just getting on these debates and you're just ad hominem people, ad hominem people, ad hominem people, the people like you and I that could see through all that garbage, it just makes you look more insecure and weak. You know what I mean? And yeah, for the time period for this day and time, it may make you popular, but I guarantee as our younger generations, which is why we do what we do right now for our children's children, the day when they get a chance to break free from all this, those guys and women are going to be forgotten. It's going to be people like me and you that are remembered. And it doesn't seem like it now because this whole YouTube thing with low view. It's all popularity contest. But there will be a time again where we'll be able to rise up and people like me and you will be revered, just like Dr. Ben and Clark and Amos Wilson. I'm sure there's people in France that were teaching.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a,
so like I said, I don't follow a lot of people on here. I actually like the debates because I used to debate in the streets, and I
mhm.
actually had a couple of debates online. But I'm more into seriously building, leading, and building with brothers and sisters that are just ready to stop all the foolishness, man. You feel me? It's like
Yeah.
it's fun, it's exciting when I get to call you out and say you're wrong. But at the end of the day, the Talmud can still shoot you with a gun and get away with it. It's like,
It's true,
what?
it's true. But no matter what we do, these things ultimately can happen. And I kind of touched on that. I alluded to that, but I think there's an ultimate solution that not everybody would go for. But we have Black Wall Street. Um, so we might ultimately thrive in the U.S., but they can't find any justification. Oh, okay, those guys are working with such and such terrorist group. You know what I'm saying? And they might not necessarily kill like they did during Black Wall Street, but they might incarcerate people or kick people out of the country. They during the Trump administration, they even sent children to camps. You see, so I feel like everything is possible. These police brutality is happening on a very regular basis, and their reward is being on paid leave. So, um, but one thing at a stage, right now we are kind of a minority, and I really believe that we can build and get some places. But I feel like we should feel comfortable living and feeling at home. And in America, the police brutality is just crazy. It's just crazy. Your life can just end just because you happen to cross path with the wrong cop. And that's just messed up. But it still doesn't stop people from being able, to learn, to study, and exchange ideas. And I kind of like it. I kind of like it when we can talk and exchange ideas in a cordial manner. As we get older, I had my share of disagreement for that might be a euphemism. Might be a euphemism when I say disagreement, but at some point it was kind of beef with some brothers I was first affiliated with. But now I kind of recently linked back up with those brothers. So sometimes there might be some situation, but over time it might resolve. Sometimes it might not resolve, but we can always keep it pushing. But I really love it when I see brothers and sisters, who are into the culture, particularly the meta nature, because those discussions that took place recently, once again, I know I've said it before, but if it's a neophyte, if it's someone who barely knows the metronome, he just knows the uniliteral and maybe a few biliterals or triliteral, and he comes across those people like that, he will not be able to engage in the discussion because they would dance around, they will talk forever and just get out of the main point. So I think it's something good because sometimes people are seen or presented as some top scholars, but they will ultimately have knowledge, but a lot of things they say are just hypotheses that they try to push up or put forth as facts, established facts. But on top of that, there's a fact that they are disingenuous and very arrogant or condescending, not to say disrespectful. And this is a shame. We just don't need that at all. We really don't need that. And the long-winded people, brothers and sisters, that's just me. I mean, when people are too long-winded, if they take 3 minutes and 20 seconds just to ask a question, it might be a sign that you might deal with some slick people, because I mean that's just for asking a question. So to answer a question, those guys would take over 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and sometimes you even forget what the question was. But it is what it is. There's a bit of everything in this world. You know, but it makes me very happy to see people really learning the culture and getting into the language. And ultimately, like I've said many times, the heart of a culture, the core of a culture is the language. So, brothers and sisters, you cannot go wrong if you deal with the language.
Yeah, absolutely. The language is how the spell is cast on the people. That's what's going on with the world right now. I
Mm.
can't talk about it here because you'll probably get your stream blocked. But we know the people I'm talking about. They literally took what our ancestors knew right out of that place and are now casting the spell on everybody. So
Mhm,
absolutely, your language is how we get back.
mhm.
And
And when you have you finished the red book from Being Manly? Have you finished already or not yet?
no, no, I haven't
Yeah,
finished.
yeah. And when you finish it, I think it would be good to start with what's the name, Middle Egyptian by James P. Allen, because not only he deals with the grammar, but he also has some essays where he actually breaks down, you know, some of the thoughts. And I like his breakdown of Nesud BT. He goes in details. Also, his breakdown of what the Moors are trying to use as some glyphs that means Moor or Mer, when really it's an abbreviation for Emir, which can be translated as overseer or just chief, if you want to use a, a, um, if we want to make it plain, we might just say chief. And I think it's very very nice, very well explained. So you know that's just a recommendation. Then you do what
Yeah,
you want.
it's interesting. The Moors have well, not Meta names, but they use ancient Egyptian names. Like I knew this one guy on I believe he's on Sonnetter now. His name is Cometian, and
I'm sorry. It was breaking up just for like a second. What's the name of the guy?
Cometian.
Oh, the Moorish guy.
Oh, that's why I left the lines then because
Oh,
I had a discussion with him about Kemet, and it's like talking to a brick wall. So yeah, that's one story. But that's a prime example how that's your video is good on that too. How it's breaking down the black Shriners and every just taken from us. It's just
mm.
perverted, manipulated.
Yeah, yeah, that commission guy. I mean, I could say his full name, but I don't really feel
And
like
he's a good
making the
example of
person.
somebody being mentally being sick. He's
Well,
a great.
he. I want to be diplomatic, but he looks young and he looks full of drive and
Mhm.
energy. But at the end of the day, he's a Moor, and Moorish people, they like to try to use all sorts of field of or area of history to validate their stance of being Moorish. And when you had a discussion with Smash Rockwell, I happened to scroll through the video. I heard him before, and in the first place, when I see him more, I'm wary. And then when I hear them, usually they say stuff that's just not convincing at all. But as I scroll through, I happened to come on the part where he showed that glyph of the arm, and he said it means Allah. I've already refuted that 10 years ago when somebody else claimed that during a Runoko Rashidi tour. So that's when I stopped the video. So he's just all over the place. He's just really all over the place. And this is really Saneda can do whatever he wants. He can invite anybody he wants. But at some when you have Jeffries, James Smalls, you know, and different other people, and then you bring somebody like that, I guess you can have more quality or more equipped guests. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'd rather listen to Zion Lex than listen to the commission guy. Because at least Zion Lex, he's been learning the meta nature, and of course Zion Lex, will make shortcuts like the Marian Petastella shows Israel, which is not the case, and will make other funny claims, but at least he's familiar with the language, at least with the uniliterals, biliterals, and triliterals, and a little bit of grammar. But then he will make shortcuts, he will make interpretation, but yeah, I mean, we have a lot of guys like that. That I don't know how old the brother is, but he doesn't really have methodology. His beliefs take over the methodology. So, and we will always have people like that. We will always have people like that. At the end of the day, we have Christians who are very skilled, very intelligent. Many of them are specialists in different areas. It can be history, it can be linguistics, it can be religious studies, it can be Egyptology, um, and they was try to push for the Exodus story, which is not
They
attested at
try to
all.
push what?
For the Exodus, for Exodus, I did not pronounce it
Oh,
well.
okay.
For the Exodus story,
Yeah.
which is not established at all. You see, and that's how it is. That's how it is. So we have to deal with
No,
that. You
man. It's it's the word, it's the language, like you said. You gotta look up the etymology of words. You have to, but you'll never know. It's like everything in life. You have to look up the origin, or you'll never know the truth. And they don't look up the etymology. It's a daily thing for me. I've been doing it for 8 years, still looking up words, still looking just to make sure when somebody asks me something, I know what I'm talking about because I don't want to look like a fool.
Mm,
Or I just won't say it. I'll just say I don't know. But the point I'm making is that the words you're speaking are creating the pattern in your life and creating the mind that you're under. So a guy comes out and says that the arm glyph means Allah. When I would go to him and say, no, it's really Tahuti. You guys got it from Tahuti because Tahuti was also known as the moon netzer, which was Ea. And then he would start an argument with me because he's under the spell, even if I'm showing him the glyph, and that's called magic. That's called hekau, right? That has to be magic because your mind cannot see what's in front of you. So, like I said, I'm just interested in dealing with brothers like you and people that are serious minded, and we just don't focus on anybody else that's not into what we're into because they're just gonna hold us back, you know.
mm. And
And
and that's the thing, so indeed, some people want to teach, but they don't want to learn. And indeed, at one point, after you spend so much time listening to different people, engaging different people, at one point, ultimately, you feel like you kind of listening to less and less people, and you're beginning to be more selective. You see, and sometimes it feels a bit lonely. Sometimes it feels a bit lonely, but thanks to the internet, we can connect with people in different parts of the world. But indeed, the Kemetic people, we are a minority, and I would love to link up with people from different schools of thoughts that relates to Kemet. Even though some are very disappointed, I don't need to say names. I mean, recently, I've addressed a few people, and others also have addressed them. But it is what it is. And it's just a lovely thing when we get to learn together. And so, if you happen to know some people who are interested in learning the Meta Nature, I know you said that you learned it from Tahuti, so I presume Tahuti would give lessons to those people. But just for the record, if some people happen to listen to the stream, I've been giving classes, and I'm looking forward to have a group class. So I have some people interested already, but I'm waiting to have just 10 people, at least 10 people. So if anybody's interested, the language has been deciphered. And like I said many times, it's easier to learn than the Hebrew and the Arabic. So feel free to holler at me. You have an email address in the description, and we can get it on. Because what I would love is when I upload, and that's a shame really, because when I upload videos from museums, they get very little views, like 30 views, 40 views, and they barely get any comments. Every now and then they might get a comment. And my wish is that I get more people to learn the Meta Nature, and as I upload those videos, then they participate in the chat and they show to the people that there's an interest, not just living for people, but basically that they are genuinely interested in this is an original artifact. Because the Christians, for example, they barely have any originals, and we have originals for days. So why don't we put value in those artifacts? But it's all good. There's plenty of other museums that I'm planning on going to, you know. And I mean, if the people don't want to learn the Meta Nature, and if they want to support me, you know, then that will help me, to get to those museums, because it takes money, what I'm saying? And I'm not balling like that. But, that's what I
Yeah,
wanted to say.
strange. People won't even show their face on a live stream, and I'm thousands of miles away from you. No harm can come to me, but
Mm,
people won't show their face on a live stream. So
mm,
it comes down to accountability. If I gotta learn to meta netter with you, and you expect something from me, it's gonna be hard. Especially if I like you, it's gonna be hard for me to say no to you. And what if I want
mm,
to go eat hot dogs at 12 o'clock tonight, or what if I want to go watch Kobe Bryant play basketball, but you want to have a meta netter class? So
mm.
it comes back down to are you for real with this, or are you just gonna be fake like everybody else? I'm just gonna keep it blunt, man. for me. It became again. It became life. Um, Kemet comes first.
Mm,
It does. So that includes my family. I will
mm,
not be with a female if she does not have any aspirations of being an example or emulating Offset or Nevhet. I don't want a Nicki Minaj or somebody like that. I don't even want a Christian Mary. I want a Het Haru, you know?
mm.
So,
Well,
yes.
on that, I guess we'll talk about it some other time. But
Hmm.
there's very few of us, and you might end up waiting a long time. I've waited a long time,
No,
you
I
know,
know. Yeah.
and I ultimately couldn't find someone who's into Kemet, So it was what it was. But I understand. I had that sentiment as well. But maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. But I'm going to get prepared. I'm going to start work. I work at a different time today. I'm very happy that you came on. But you mentioning the people who don't want to show their face. That's another thing. We have those revolutionaries. Some are more hardcore than others, but yet they won't even show their face. It's incredible. But it's on them. They have the right to. It's all good. But ultimately, you see, we kind of building a small community. We're not necessarily agree on everything. I actually addressed Tahuri in the video. He replied in the comments, so it's all good. And I was telling him that you can have some cartouche, and you have ultimately the name of a deity, but not just the name of a deity. Like you can have Imenhotep, which is like a moon, or Amen, as we say in English, is satisfied. So it doesn't mean that it is actually the deity Amun. And I think he understood what I was trying to say. But I think it would be interesting if I can get to speak with Tahuti, because we never actually spoke, and I would love that. I would really love that. But I'm very happy that you came on the live stream. I appreciate it. And I
You
hope
should
that
come on. You should come on tomorrow. I don't know what the time difference is, but you should come on tomorrow. He has a podcast every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and
um
he'll let you
7
hop right
p.m.
on with him. Huh?
7 p.m. Or 7
Pacific
p.m.
time.
That's 3 a.m. Because I'm in France. That's
Oh,
3 a.m. in
okay.
France. It's a bit difficult because I work full
Yeah.
time. But maybe the weekend or maybe some other time we get to talk. But if you ever feels like coming and say what's up, it will be lovely. Uh, do you want to tell the people Tehuti's YouTube channel?
Uh, yeah. I'll put it in the chat. Hold on.
Or if you want, you can share it in the chat.
Hold on. Let's
For those who don't know Tahuti, he had a debate. I'm sorry, with Jabari, and he also had a debate with I think with Zion Lex also, and he had a debate with some other Christian apologists, and he appeared quite a few times on Killer Priest podcast. Killer Priest is like a kind of a Wu Tang affiliate, but he had that song called One Step. Very nice song,
Oh, I
old
can't.
school song.
What do I post in a private chat?
No, no, not the private, just the normal, the comment, the normal stuff, so everybody
Yeah, it
can see.
won't let me post there.
Oh,
I think
really?
I have to be signed in. So I'll just put it in a
Okay.
private
Well,
chat.
okay, yes, yes, and then I will share it. Yes, go ahead. Go
But
ahead.
if you just go to Tahuti in YouTube, it'll pop right up.
Oh, yeah, I have it. User Mystical TV. So I'm going to type in the Hoodie YouTube channel. There you should see it now, brothers and sisters. I've shared it in the chat. So even after the live stream, you should be able to have it. Now the chat takes some little while to appear. It doesn't appear immediately after the live stream. It might take, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, or an hour or more, but it will ultimately appear. So brother Ahatima, thank you very much, Dua, for coming. And
Hey,
you're always welcome. All right, brother.
okay.
Okay, Hotep sen.
Hotep.
Okay. Now, brothers and sisters, we not have time to put the outro. I have to get to work now. But uh whether you agree or disagree, you're always welcome. to join the discussion. We can definitely get some clarity. All right. Stay safe, stay healthy, and if I'm allowed to by the next I will definitely holler back at you. Hotel.